I was telling you lot about my HGV journey, which went 7 months from applying for the course to actually getting my provisional. I think it's time to tell you how that journey ended. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Bobby Blackcountry. I've been here. But talking a bit serious, I just spoke to you as my mucker Rob. So, let's tell you how things happen, shall we? We get the provisional, and we have our theory test booked. I start revising like crazy, checking out every single thing that I can possibly do. I finally managed to get through to my training company, who has put the training course back onto the computer. So I'm going for it. End up waiting about another 3-4 weeks before my test. April, that was in, end of April. So I finally get to my theory test and I absolutely smash the hazards and the theory. Both over 90 out of 100. I'm good at tests. So I'll get on contact to my training company again. Lovely woman called Gemma. Tell her that I've passed my test and she says, oh, that's great. Let's get cracking with the next step, shall we? Didn't hear from her again for the next 4 days. Finally get through to her and say, look, can we get everything sorted? I mean, I've been waiting now 8 months for something that should really be taking no longer than 8 weeks. So she booked my next theory test, the case study, and the day after the case study would start my driver training, with the test coming the week after that. So that was coming up in May. So the clock's ticking again. We started in September and we're now in May. If I thought the theory test was hard, this case study was a different animal altogether. It's just using your noggin of the theory test and applying it with driving that you've not yet done. So if I revised for the first test, I most certainly revised for this one, which is hard to do as a new father, and it's hard to do when you've barely got the brain power and the energy from being a new father. But I cracked on anyway, and I get to my test. Passed that, 44 out of 50. Still never failed a written test in my entire life, and I never will. This is where it starts to take a turn though. The day after, my driver training starts. It's about 20 odd miles away, which I don't mind, and I've got to be there at 7 in the morning. Probably not the best thing really, I'm not a morning person, but being HGV, you've got to be, so I got myself there and I started to do it. The instructor, he's good at instructing, but he's not exactly good at teaching, and his style didn't gel with mine. So he's like rapidly trying to tell me things to do when I'm at junctions driving a vehicle that's got a total weight of about 12 ton. So I'm all jumpy. I really am. I thought, sorry, I mean, I could have done better, but the first day I really did a dodgy job. Second day, I felt like I got a chip on my shoulder this time. I'm the type of person that if I don't do perfect, I ain't done good. So I've woke up with a chip on my shoulder and I've got into my driver training. Really enjoyed it the second day, really did. The bloke's teaching style really left a lot to be wanting for me, especially because I've got a couple up there which he didn't know, he still doesn't know and all that. But he's got to be giving easier instructions. If you're driving something this big, you can't be shouting at the last minute. And another thing that really bugged me as well about him, he was giving you information after information after information like he should. Bear in mind, this was supposed to be a 5-day driver course, but because of someone else getting their test rebooked, I was going to have 2 days before the bank holiday weekend in May, the second bank holiday, and then I was going to have 1 day just after the bank holiday, and then I was going to have my test on the 4th day. So a 4-day driving course to basically drive around what I've described as a giant killing machine. But I did really well, and he told me on the second day I did really well, so I felt good about that. Let's go this way. Felt really good about it, but then he asked me a question which kind of caused a bit of an argument with people. And he asked me, he reminded me something on day one at about 9 AM. And about 2 p.m. on day 2, he's asking me a question which I ain't got a clue about, but it was reaction. Hey, you're not supposed to know about it. I mean, I'm trying to give you all this information and you're not taking it in. Bear in mind, this is my second day of driving an HGV ever. But I thought, I don't care. I'm there to pass a driving test for me and my family, not that bloke. So I had my bank holiday weekend. Also, the missus' birthday weekend, so it was a really nice weekend. Get to bank holiday Monday and we've had a nice day out and everything, boiling hot weather. And then I find out, as I get back home, that there is a giant bulge on my tyre, my car tyre. Now, I've just been doing the HGV training, so you know as well as me, if you do that, if you see any bulges, you can't drive your vehicle. So, asking everyone possible, could you give me a lift to the place? So, I mean, I've got to be there. I've only got 2 days, and even if I don't want to do it in the long run, I at least want my HGV licence on my record. Oh, after basically mental excursions for the next 6 hours on Bank Holiday Monday in May, I unfortunately had to tell the bloke that I had to withdraw from the course. So, after everything that's happened with all my contacting MPs and talking to God knows how many people to try and get my HGV provisional, and then having a dodgy instructor, it turns out the thing that's actually stopped me is a bulge on my own tyre. Yeah. But really, to be honest with you, I think it's actually done me a favour. Because one thing I learned about HGVs is that they are very much not vans. If you are tired, if you are angry, if you have one slip of the wheel, many people will die. And I honestly don't think I can have that on my conscience. So, after all that, back to square one. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll try and make some money off doing this instead. See ya.